Hello everybody, and welcome to Greg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm working to restore history one piece at a time. Tonight we're going to be doing part 6 of the RCA 87K console radio, and in part 6 I will be attacking the chassis outer as far as cleaning it, taking some stuff off and cleaning that, fixing some of the wires, basically outer chassis work. And then along with that, we have a little bonus. I finished the grill cloth, get it installed in the actual cabinet. And that will be part 6. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I got it somewhat cleaned up, but as you guys can see, or maybe you can't see, but there is a lot of rust. A lot of rust and corrosion on this thing. I'm going to wind up having to, I think, repaint this to make it look right. So I'm going to have to strip some of this stuff off. I'm not planning on taking the cans off of here. I may take the electrolytics off because those are going to not be wired in circuit anyway. I can put them back after I get it cleaned up. I don't know that I'll remove the IF cans. I'm not planning on removing the transformer. I am going to remove the tuning condenser. That needs to go into my ultrasonic cleaner anyway. So let me flip this thing over and get some of that loose. I got all of the ground connections, there's 4 of them, that connect underneath here, unsoldered. I cut this wire here that goes to the tuning condenser. It's rubber, it's brittle, it's falling apart. This can't be replaced, as is this one. I'm in the process of removing the tuning condenser right now. I removed the 3 electrolytic cans. This one, which is the one in the back, and this one in the front, were both isolated. They have rubber gaskets. And I got to know that because when I put my journal strip in there, they're not going to be grounded. They're isolated. This one in the middle here that you probably can't see is not isolated. But for right now, I'm in the process of taking the tuning condenser loose so that I can put in my 5/16. Okay. Back has a nut and washer, whereas the 2 front are screws. There's a flat washer and a lock washer on the back. That's a bushing. It is. That's a bushing. So the one over here is a bushing. And the one in the back is not a bushing because it's part of the stud that sticks up. And I'll show you that when I get it off. I did break one of the bulbs off sockets. So the wire's kind of rotten. Not that wire, but the other wire. I'm going to run new wire anyway. So I'm not too concerned with that. What's left of the rubber is like rotten. There we go. And my ground strap's holding me up a little bit. There we go. And that's what we have. We have 4 ground straps that are tying into, as you see, the slots. These are actually punched in tabs, and so these are soldered onto those tabs. And then we have wires or rods going into the 2 pieces of the tuning condenser. Let me show you the other piece of that. So that's what the root of that tuning condenser was sitting on top of. I may go ahead and take these cans off and leave my coils kind of sticking up and just kind of tape them up so they're out of the way. It'll be easier to clean everything to do that. Okay, so I got this top stripped down about as far as I want to take it. There's a lot of rat pea rust in here. Quite a few spots of it. And they're actually fairly deep too. So I'm probably going to have to get the rust off and cover it over with some spot putty maybe. Maybe it'll feel better once I get it sanded. Get the rust off and sanded. I'll have to figure out what I want to do with that. I want to mask this little decal up here. Maybe see if I can try and get that off without tearing it up. Get a good photo of it. Maybe I can recreate it. I'm going to try not to tear it up. I'm not going to take these 2 cans off. I'm just going to mask them up really well for whatever I do to finish off this base. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to use yet. I've got a couple of different metallic paints, but not sure the one I want to use. But we'll get that figured out. Let me get this rust treated and the rest of this cleaned up. Okay, so I got my first coat of rust remover put on here, and it actually did a pretty darn good job. I'm pretty happy with that first coat. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I'm going to do a second coat. It looks like it got it pretty well. Maybe a little bit more right through here. Anyway, that's that. Now let's go over and look at the ultrasonic cleaner. Okay, so right now my ultrasonic cleaner, it's cleaned out. I just got through cleaning it out, dumping out what was in there. I'm going to start fresh. That's been some old stuff I've used quite a few times. Right now I'm at 56 degrees Celsius, and so it's pretty hot. I like to run it pretty hot. I'm going to put some citric acid in here, and I'm not sure how much I'm here. Whoop, help if I show you what I'm doing. But I put, I don't know, about a, let's see, this is a 5-ounce container. I probably put an ounce in there. So got an ounce of that in there, and then I'm going to add some of my wife's dishwashing liquid. I would grab it. She uses this Meyer stuff, so I'm going to throw some of that in there. So between the citric acid, the heat, and the dishwashing soap, hopefully this will come clean. Remember, it's pretty nasty. I opened up the veins so that it can get in there a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and leave these wires on. I'm going to redo that wire. I'm going to go ahead and leave that cap on there because I'll probably just change that. And I'm going to set it down in there. That water is pretty hot. Let me grab a pair of pliers. Alright, I got some pliers, and we just dropped it inside there. Well, that wasn't the way I intended to do that, but I guess that's going to be what it's going to be. My little solder pieces are holding it up. Alright, that's going to work though. We're in there pretty good. It's all submerged except for the actual resistor and capacitor right there. So we're going to leave it there and put the lid on it. And we'll turn it on, which is noisier than heck. Well, let's set our timer here. I'm going to set up for 30 minutes. There should be more than enough time for this. And we'll start it up. We're going to have a look at the RCA 87K here in a second, but I wanted to show you guys what I've been doing here. My wife's been helping me get myself more organized. So I used to have all of my caps and resistors in another bin. Let me show you that real quick. Okay, so this bin here was the one I used to keep my caps and resistors in, and as you can see, it doesn't have enough drawers, so everything was crammed in multiple drawers and the labeling wasn't right and everything else. This is what I started out with 3 or 4 years ago, and as I've been working on things, obviously I've been collecting more and more component parts for fixing these radios. So now let's go back to the other ones. Alright, so now with these, I have all of my resistors are in the two top. And I've got values for pretty much anything I had in stock, and even stuff I didn't necessarily have in stock. And I've got these organized by the ohm value, and then I've got quarter, half, 1 and 2 watt, and even 3 watt resistors in each one, and obviously I can tell from the size of them what they are. So that's those, and then down here is where I've got my capacitors, both electrolytic and non-electrolytic. So I got those in there. So I'm getting a lot more organized, and of course I've got drawers for potentiometers and my 632 screws and nuts and grommets that I use, and fuse holders and terminal strips and all kinds of stuff like that. And then I've got other things up here on the top, like my mini USBs, the little miniature electrolytics, more fuses, more grommets, all labeled so I can see where they're at. Of course, on this side of the shop, I've been relabeling this stuff to make that more accurate for what it is too. I'm not done, but my label maker ran out of labels, so I'll get some more labels. I'll get back to work. Now let's take a look at the RCA chassis and see where we're at. Right here, let me get you on a tripod. So as you can see, I've been cleaning, derusting, and painting the chassis, which means I pulled everything off of it pretty much. I didn't pull the IF cans off. I can get those cleaned up with them on there. I did pull these cans off because they were much easier to pull off, and I'm going to clean those up, get those back on there. But it's coming out pretty good. I did spray it with some metallic paint. After I got the rust off, the pits were pretty heavy, so I used some spot putty in those and smoothed it out. And then I took it out and shot it with some Rust-Oleum metallic paint. And it's not super shiny. It actually resembles, I think, the original really well. I did mask off the back where there was some, there was a label on there on one spot, and there was some stamp on another spot. And so I masked those off so those will stay original. I've got the transformer top cover out drying where I painted it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the IF cans and clean up these cans, and I'll come back and we'll put them on. Okay, so the cans actually cleaned up really nice. I didn't even really do any polishing on them. All I did was use my wife's Method anti-back all-purpose cleaner on them, and wiped them off really well and just kind of buffed them with the cloth. But I mean, they actually turned out pretty good. I'm not trying to make this thing look like new. I just want it clean and, you know, looking good. So they turned out good. The back can's done. This one I've got to make a new wire. As you can see, it had the rubber wire on there that is all cracked off. Put you down there. Rubber wire is just shot. So I'm going to make a new lead for this. Some green cloth wire, and we'll come back. Okay, got our green wire all on there. All nice and neat. Get my cap on there, and that'll be that piece done. Okay, as you guys can see, I've been working away on this. I got my transformer cover back on there. I got these cans back on there. They still need the nuts put on from the back side, but everything else is on it. I've got my tuning condenser fresh out of the ultrasonic cleaner. It's all cleaned up nice. I got new bushings, or I'm sorry, rubber grommets installed in it. I haven't replaced these wires yet. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the actual chassis before I do that. But I'm getting ready to do that right now, so let's just see if we can't set this thing down on here. Oh, I was going to also tell you, I cleaned everything, I greased everything, I oiled everything. I use sewing machine oil for the oil on the bearings, but then I also put in some of my Super Lube full synthetic grease, very lightweight, grade 2, and that's what I use on these bearings. So everything is lubed and oiled, so ready to set it down on top of here. I need to feed my leads down through the holes properly. Get my back one started here first. Oops, I'm not in your view. Okay, so there that is. It's on there. Now I just got to put the hardware in it. Put the spacers in the front and the washers in the back. Get one of them started. I actually think there was lock washers on those. Let me go get those. Get the one in the back. There it is. On. Okay, so next we're going to replace this cap and these two wires. Okay, so I got me a new grid cap wire on there. That particular capacitor is supposed to be 470 picofarads, and it actually tested at 475 picofarads. So I left it in place. The resistor, on the other hand, back here, is a 470,000 K resistor, and it was open. So that did get replaced. If we come over here and look at the schematic, as long as it's not glaring in your face, we were here. There's the C4, which is the tuning condenser. And here's that cap, the 470 cap that's going over here to the grid, and also to that 470,000 ohm resistor, R3. That's what I just got to replace. It was that R3 and making that grid cap wire. Okay, so I've cut my grill cloth oversize, and it's pretty flat as it is, and there's not really any stretch to it. So this should go on here pretty easily, I would think. Like I showed you before, it's actually got an adhesive side to it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and peel this back, at least part way. We're going to line this up. I kind of looked at the pattern. I had my wife look at the pattern, and I think we're in pretty good shape with it. And now, if I can flip that over, and I can kind of stretch it. think what I'm going to do is try and trim this over, trim it off square, and fold it over, and I've got some two-sided sticky tape. The upper portion of the speaker wood will hold this all in, and I'll just have a couple of staples in the bottom, and I can put those staples in the bottom in this material. But I'm going to shorten it up some. So I'm getting ready to install this grill cloth in the front of the radio here. I've set it in the radio and I've marked it, and what I did was I poked a hole through where each of the wood screws go through from the speaker plate. My concern was when I started screwing a screw in, it was liable to unravel this. So what I'm getting ready to do is melt it so that it doesn't unravel. And I'll show you how I'm getting ready to do that. I'm just going to use my soldering iron here. And since I got my hole there, I'm just going to poke a hole with the soldering iron right in there. And that should melt it, just like that. And then that should not unravel. I'll do it from both sides. And that should keep us from unraveling. If you guys are seeing this. So there's the front side. Now I'll do it on the back side. And that should keep us from unraveling. I don't have to worry about it on this side because I didn't make it through on the one thing there. But that's it. I'm just going to show you that. Now I'm going to take it upstairs and screw it on. Okay. And that should do it. Alright, so here it is in its final resting spot till we get the chassis in it, but this is where it's going to be, which is basically right alongside of the 1929 Victor. And my lighting in this room is very dim. We like dim lighting. But anyhow, here's the grill cloth. Get zoomed in here a little bit. There's the radio. There's the grill cloth. Take a flashlight and shine out, maybe put a little bit more light on here. So this flashlight kind of gives you a better indication of the color of this outer portion, considering it looks, you know, almost black when you see it in the other lighting, but it's not nearly as dark as you would think it actually is. But it goes good with my hardwood floor too. So anyway, that's it. That's it for the cabinet. Now we got to finish the chassis.